All right, let's go out to the phone lines right now. Paul Schwartz joins us from the New York Post. Does a tremendous job covering the Giants as we recap the Giants-Eagles game from yesterday. Paul, appreciate the time, and how are you, my friend?
All right, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on. So yesterday, the thing that impressed me the most with the Giants was their defense. The trenches, they dominated that battle defensively in the trenches, and then the turnovers, they forced them early, and then that defense bailed out the offense late when Eli threw that pick. How about the Giants' defense yesterday?
Well, they spent more than $200 million to fix the defense. It's a brand-new defense. It's supposed to be better, and it's getting better. At the beginning of the year, they couldn't get any turnovers. Now they're getting them in bunches, which is a good thing. Led by Landon Collins, who's really playing at a Pro Bowl level. Did you see the stat? He's the only player in the NFL who leads his team in tackles, interceptions, and sacks, which is a unusual trifecta to have. He's got them all. It says that the Giants certainly aren't getting enough sacks, but the interceptions and the tackles are excellent for Landon Collins. So, the new guys are playing well. Some young guys are playing well, and, they have pretty good players on defense. I'm not surprised. It's going to still be a little bit of a work in progress. There's a lot of new pieces here, but what I liked yesterday is Steve Spagnuolo, the coordinator, now that he's got some pieces back, was confident enough to be really aggressive. And at the end of the game, that was very important, not to give Carson Wentz, all the time he needed. He sent guys early and often and certainly late in that last sequence there, and that was a big factor in the Giants getting a big defensive stop.
Now, I know you're not surprised with the way the defense has played, but are you surprised with how well Landon Collins has played? Because like you said, he's been unreal.
Yeah, well, I think he's a good player. I thought he was a good player. He's a winner from a winning program in Alabama. He was a second-round draft pick. I like the fact last year as a rookie he was on the field. He played every game. It was hard to get off the field even for a snap or two. Was able to practice. But he had some problems in coverage. He learned a lot. He was kind of a one-man band back there. He didn't have great safeties supporting him last year as a rookie, and it was tough on him. It really was. This year he's got more support. Janoris Jenkins, the cornerback import, very good. And he's taken the next step. Now, I thought he would take a step or two forward. He's taken about 5 right now. So if he keeps up this pace, the Giants will have the young safety that they thought they had several years ago with Kenny Phillips out of Miami until the knee injury pretty much sidelined his career.
Paul, let's get to the offense because that's the big conversation with the Giants after the bye week. We wanted to see how they would show up. They get 28 points. I know the turnovers that the Giants defense forced did help them out early. But that offensive line, they lose Pugh in the second quarter. Brett Jones filled in and did a pretty darn good job. How about that offensive line yesterday for the Giants?
It was pretty good. The sacks are always a little bit deceptive. Eli does a good job of getting rid of the ball, but they only gave up 1 sack against a team that had 22 coming into the game, so that's a good job, especially, as you said, after Justin Pugh got hurt. Brett Jones came in and played well. Now, this is a guy who's got very little experience. He's born in Saskatchewan, which is not exactly the hotbed of NFL talent. He's played a lot more in the Canadian Football League than he has in the NFL. And he's really a natural center, so he comes in to play left guard and played well for Justin Pugh. And Bobby Hart, I think a right tackle is playing better. Eric Flowers had, his penalty, which he usually has, but I think he did okay yesterday. It's going to be tough without Pugh. Pugh's going to miss 3-4 games with a sprained knee, and he has been their best offensive lineman. So it'll be... they've done okay, sorting through some injuries. Bobby Hart for Marshall Newhouse was a move that didn't hurt the Giants at all. But without Pugh, I think it's going to be a real proving ground for this depth to see if they can hold up without him.
Yeah, but they do get a break in the schedule. Bengals, Bears, and Browns. Those should be 3 pretty easy games for the Giants. You have to imagine, at minimum, they win 2 out of 3, right?
Well, I don't think the Bengals is an easy game. I mean, the Bengals have been in the playoffs, several years in a row, and they don't have a great record this year. But I don't think they're an easy team to beat at all. I think they have a decent defensive front. So I wouldn't, I wouldn't say that the Bengals is an easy game. I would say that the Browns in 3 weeks is an easy game. Although you never know. Maybe the Browns, have not won a game and they're due, whatever. Look, they're the worst team in the league, and that's fine. And the Bears at Giant Stadium is a game you figure the Giants should find a way to win. But you know what? Once you start looking at the schedule and saying, well, this game will probably be their way. This is an easy one. The Giants are not good enough for that. They're not the Patriots. They're not a team that can dominate. They don't have one side of the ball that has been dominant this year. They're a 2-3 turnover game away from losing to anybody. So, I think, they've won 3 in a row, and that's great. But, we need to pump the brakes a little bit on the Giants being a team that you can go down the schedule and say, they'll win that game.
Paul Schwartz with us right now. What'd you see out of Paul Perkins yesterday in the run game?
Well, he made a couple of defenders miss, which is something that most Giants running backs have not been able to do this year, so that's good. He was much better in the second half. He really got nothing accomplished in the first half. I like that toss, that toss pitch that they gave to him that he gained 14 yards. He's got a little wiggle. He's got some size. I like him with the ball in his hands. His not really a problem. He's a rookie, and he's not a high draft pick. He got to the Giants late from UCLA. He had to wait till his class is finished up. So he was kind of delayed in the spring and summer. And, the finer points of running back, pass protection, which is vital. If you can gain 7 yards on a run, that's great. But if you miss a block and get Eli Manning flattened, forget it. You're not going to be on the field. And, I think Perkins has worked pretty hard at that. He's a pretty low-key guy in the locker room. He's not a guy, not one of these running backs who says a lot, talks a lot about himself. Some of the offensive linemen, John Jerry mentioned to me the other day that, Perkins, he sees him in the offensive line meeting taking notes and really trying to study what's going on. Those are all positive signs. So I think moving forward, he will get the ball. Eventually, does he move past Rashad Jennings as the starter? Possibly. But, you can certainly share the job of running back between two guys, and he's now clearly the number 2 man in line and pushing to be the number 1 man in line.
Paul Schwartz with us, and whenever they get Vereen back, I'm sure that would help that run game, especially coming out of the backfield and try to be a pass-catching running back, as Vereen had such a good role in New England that helped them beat the Seahawks in that Super Bowl. What are you hearing on Vereen? When can he be back?
Well, Ben McAdoo was asked about that. He said he's going to take it slow with him. He's technically eligible to come back this week to start practicing, but he is not ready for that. So I don't think it's any more than a 50-50 shot at best that he plays again this year. There's no guarantee. He's coming off surgery, tricep surgery to repair damage in the tricep. So, I don't think the Giants look at that as something that they say we must have Shane Vereen back in order to make a playoff push. I think they'll be cautious with him. There's no rush. So if he comes back, I think it'll be more December than November.
Paul Schwartz with us from the New York Post on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, The Jersey. Paul, with what you saw to the offense yesterday, from an optics standpoint, you take 28 points, especially points have been a problem for the Giants this year. Moving forward, though, where is your confidence with this Giants offense? Because that's an Eagles defense. Yes, they create turnovers. They have a good front, but those corners, they're not a good corner group. So where's your confidence with this Giants offense?
Well, Mike, it's better than it was before yesterday's game, certainly, because, they came out. Look, they got. You can't fault them for doing what they were supposed to do. They get a short field the first 2 times they touch the ball, and bang, they put it in for touchdowns. I think a lot of Giants fans were thinking if we get 10 points out of these 2 turnovers, it'll be great, or it'll be something maybe we expect, and they get 14, which was, the best they could do, so that was terrific. Well, I'm worried about their running game. They just have not been able to run the ball. 50, 60, 70 yards a game running, and averaging less than 3 yards a carry is just not going to cut it. The weather is going to get worse, not better. It's going to get colder. It's going to get windier. We all know how the deal is at the Meadowlands. And, now they won't have Justin Pugh for several games. So, it'd be interesting to see if they take a step back or not. Maybe Victor Cruz misses a game or 2 with the sprained ankle. Now, everyone loves Roger Lewis, and he catches touchdown passes and is a great dancer. But, will he be consistent? Will he run the route correctly and not, do something wrong and, throw Eli into an interception there? We all love these young players coming in until they make mistakes. Then they say, young players. So I have lukewarm on my confidence in this offense right now because they've really shown very few signs, even with Paul Perkins doing a few things, of being able to be, never mind consistent, of just being in a mediocre running game right now.
Paul Schwartz with us. Paul, before we let you run, we've seen two rookie head coaches yesterday. We've seen good moments with Doug Peterson. We've seen bad moments. We've seen good moments with McAdoo and also some bad moments. I got to get to Peterson. What do you think he was thinking yesterday going for it twice early in that game? I would have taken the points, and they were two bad play calls as well. You got to give credit to the Giants for stopping them, but Doug Peterson did not do a great job yesterday, Paul.
Well, they had a read on that read option, certainly, and you had two safeties, Andrew Adams and Landon Collins, really sniff out that third and short gamble that on the run. So yeah, look, I like the aggressiveness, but I think it's I think if the first one fails, you got to start taking points. If he took one of those field goals, then at the end of the game, they just need a field goal instead of a touchdown. I think by and large, fans like it when a guy is aggressive. When it doesn't work out, it's not good. It's not good at all. When Ron Rivera with the Panthers, was gambling Riverboat Ron and going for it on third and fourth down. Everyone loves it because he has Cam Newton, and Cam Newton bowls over two guys, and it gets 2 yards and away they go. Carson Wentz is not that quarterback yet. With a rookie quarterback, maybe you take the points when you can, especially on the road. So. Yeah, I don't think it was, Doug Peterson's finest hour yesterday, but, he's a rookie coach. We'll see what happens the next time he's in that situation.
You know what I think happened, and this is my theory, and today he said he doesn't have any second regrets about going for it. Last week, though, he made a lot of mistakes against the Cowboys, and I don't know how much of that game that you got to see. I know it's a Sunday night football game, but with all the mistakes that he made last week, he said the biggest regret was early in that game in the first half, he elected not to go for it, and he kicked a field goal, and he thought he should have went for it in fourth and short. Do you see maybe of what happened yesterday, just a little bit of him living in last week and trying to rectify that decision last week by going for it yesterday?
Could be. I just think he has to remember that he has a rookie quarterback. And, the first 3 games, Carson Wentz was the talk of the town. He was playing great. It was interesting. Yesterday, the game before against the Cowboys, Wentz did not complete a pass longer than 14 yards. So the general assumption was he's going to try to dink and dunk again. And lo and behold, he has thrown the ball downfield early and often against the Giants. He had some excellent success throwing the ball deep on the Giants, which was somewhat surprising, and I think it did surprise the Giants a little bit. But Carson Wentz, I think this is the fourth straight game or so, the fourth straight loss that he's had the ball, the offense has had the ball with a chance to win the game, and they haven't done it. Now, I think Carson Wentz has great potential, and in 2 or 3 years, maybe as early as next year. Most of these losses where, he can't get the job done with the ball in his hands turns into wins. So, look, here's what I would say to Eagles fans is, maybe they'll go 9-7 with Wentz. Maybe they would have gone maybe they'll go 7-9 with Wentz. Maybe they would have gone 9-7 with Sam Bradford. But, that's not getting you anywhere, really. So, this was the right move. This looks like the right quarterback. And, look, you got to live with some growing pains. You got to live with the rookie coach maybe making a few mistakes that he would like back. You're going to live with this, young rookie quarterback making some mistakes. But, look, the talent and the composure seems there. Eli Manning was not nearly as good as this as a rookie, and, he turned out to be pretty good.
Paul, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
All right. Anytime. Thank you.
Paul Schwartz from the New York Post joining us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. To bring up his point, and yeah, I can see why he says it. I don't believe there's that much of a difference this year with Sam Bradford and Carson Wentz. I just don't think it would have made that much of a difference with the Eagles. My expectations didn't really change when I heard Carson Wentz was going to be the starter. Long term, clearly, I believe Carson Wentz is going to be a much better player than what Sam Bradford has been in the National Football League. I'm much more impressed what I've seen just so far this year with Carson Wentz than what I've seen in the entirety so far of Sam Bradford's career. I just don't think it makes that much of a difference. And the reason why I say that is there's not enough talent around Carson Wentz. That offensive line's not good. The wide receivers, not enough talent. Dorial Green-Beckham, not good. Credit Zach Ertz for showing up yesterday, but he's not consistently showed up this year. He's been more bad than good. Jordan Matthews, Nice player, nothing spectacular. This is just not a good offense. And a run game that is not the most impressive rushing attack in the National Football League. Think about it. Bryce Treggs wasn't even playing last week. He ended up hasn't played a snap this season in the National Football League. He ended up yesterday being one of the Eagles' most productive offensive players. That tells you all you got to know. This Eagles offense, they don't have enough talent. And eventually over time, they'll acquire that talent. And then you'll get to see how good this Eagles team is. They just don't have the bodies right now. They just don't. They don't have the bodies on offense to consistently win in this league, and that's what you're seeing right now. 609-919-9200. This is the Zach Gelb Show. On a Monday, we wrap up shop. Next, we'll go around the National Football League as we put an end to what is Week 9. We'll also give you a preview for tonight's Monday Night Football game. More of the Zach Gelb Show after these short messages.